Yeah. MD, JPB, it's only right, baby.
Yeah, why you mad? I got a bad bro. Name hot in these streets, no Tabasco. But I'm so stuck, that's a fact, yo. And if you think I'm frontin', you can run it back, yo. Go on, run it back.
You know that I run it. Everything you wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this. Damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of This, and I'm back here with another video. Today I'll be doing what if Naruto was a hybrid. I actually messed up the intro the first time I got seriously into recording, so this took a little longer. But yeah, let's get right into it. I'm gonna tell y'all everything I want to say at the end, and I'm already working on what if Deku could edit quirks part 4, so don't worry. And yeah, let's get on. I'm actually really tired today, so I just want to get this over with. Now we're gonna start off, and Naruto will be born, and the Nine Tails get sealed inside him as we watch his parents on the verge of death. Hiruzen has seen the barrier erected by Kushina finally just break open, and thus he ran in with two Jonin accompanying him. He tried to get in a few words, however Minato was already gone, so Kushina wanted to tell Hiruzen the name of the baby, what they chose for their child. His name is Naruto. We got the name from Jiraiya's novel. Yes, Naruto, I got it now. Please stay quiet. You're losing quite a lot of blood. So let's... Before he can finish the sentence, Kushina dies as well. The other Jonin try to shake them both awake, hoping this is just a horrible nightmare, but it was too late. They were gone. They were both gone. Hiruzen then swore to take care of the child. Now we're gonna skip to Naruto when he's 4 years old. Naruto is at home. He has nothing else better to do than to clean up. His house was quite messy, so he got to work fast. Now just as he finishes cleaning, he hears a knock at the door. He stops cleaning and opens it. Hello Naruto, cleaning up are ya? Asks Hiruzen. Oh yeah, I got nothing else better to do, so I thought why not. Hiruzen then allows himself inside and sits down somewhere. As he does, he sees Naruto starting to put away his cleaning tools and he asks, what do you want to be in the future when you grow up, Naruto? Naruto looks back confused. Oh, I've never really thought about it. I guess I want to be strong. Stronger than anyone. Maybe like you. So you want to be Hokage? Asks Hiruzen. Naruto nods as Hiruzen then smiles. He stands up and he leaves an envelope filled with money. This is for your rent. By the way, wanting to be strong is okay, but don't hurt yourself. He then leaves as Naruto starts doing some push-ups because he was bored. If I want to be strong, I guess I should start with some basic exercise. Now Naruto keeps doing this until he is put in the academy at the age of 6. However, even though Naruto wanted to be strong, he had no talent whatsoever. He had terrible chakra control, he was horrible at taijutsu, he couldn't even study. He was a complete failure. And what's even worse is a new student came in after he turned 7. This boy's name was Sasuke Uchiha, and he was regarded as a genius. Naruto had no chance, but he never stopped trying because to him, it was bad to give up before you even tried. He would start challenging Sasuke non-stop, and every time he would get beat up and embarrassed. He was already not liked by most people at this point, so he was feeling pretty down. But what truly was terrible is that adults and kids his age would insult him for even just trying to become a shinobi, like he was forbidden to. He had nothing, and the only people who brought happiness into his heart was Teuchi, a man who owned a ramen shop, and Iruka-sensei. He loved ramen and talking to Teuchi, and even though Iruka acts rough around the edges, Naruto knows that he means well. Now one day as Naruto was walking through the streets, he's pulled into an alleyway by some man who claimed he stole from him. What? I didn't do that. I don't even know who you are, sir, says Naruto, speaking politely. Naruto always tried to stop confrontations by speaking, politely and in a nice manner. He had nice manners, but that wasn't gonna help him. Not this time. The man backhanded him across the face and he falls while holding his cheek. What is this? Usually they just look at me and push me away, but this guy's blaming me for something I didn't even do. This is ridiculous. The man then starts dragging him by the hair, and after pulling him into a dead end, he threw him up against the wall and started kicking and beating him ceaselessly. As he was being dragged, Naruto noticed. None of them were even doing anything? They're watching me being dragged and you're just standing there? As he gets to the dead end and the man threw him up and started beating him, the man starts to say, trust me, I'm doing you a favor. No one has ever liked you anyway. As he says this, he smacks Naruto once more, and at this point, Naruto is crying and yelling for someone to help him. And finally, he had enough. "Leave me alone!" As he yells this, the man gets blown back by a burst of energy and is sent flying. Naruto starts to feel himself getting healed and his bruises disappear. What happened? I was just... He then sees the man lying on the ground 30 feet away from him. How did he get over there? What the... He starts to notice his right hand glowing bright and his left hand is covered in a dark substance that is crawling up his arm. I did this, but I don't even know any jutsu. He runs over to the man and then he finds out that his body is starting to disintegrate and he's shocked. It's not my fault, says Naruto. You blame me for something I didn't even do. You tried to kill me because you don't like me for some reason, but I don't even know who you are. Naruto starts to cry. As he says this, the man's body is completely gone and he feels a certain sense of joy, but he also feels conflicted. He decided to run out of the alley and go back home. As he runs through, the villagers stare at him with confusion and scorn. Once Naruto finally gets back home, he slams his door shut and starts breathing heavily. He goes to the bathroom to wash away his tears, but this is when he notices that his right eye has turned into a weird shape, but his left eye looks completely hollow and lifeless. Naruto steps out of the bathroom and stumbles back. What is happening to me? As he says this, he raises his right hand and is engulfed in light particles. How do I get rid of this? He tries to wave his hand violently to get this thing off his arm, but as he does, he blasts his table by accident and it completely disintegrates, just like the man before. By this point, Naruto is completely scared. His left side then releases a strange black substance and a huge sword is created from it. Naruto thought that swords were really cool, so he was surprised that he could form weapons with this thing on his arm. And he thinks, maybe it won't hurt me. If I can make it through this just by thinking, then maybe I can make it go away as well. Then he concentrates and the black substance disappears, and so does the light engulfing his right arm. Did I always have this? Does this have to do with that thing on my stomach? He then pulls up his shirt and instead of seeing just a seal on his stomach, he also sees one on his chest now. Naruto noticed the seal put up by Minato a long time ago because it just flashed open and just like showed on his tummy sometimes, but he also saw a second seal on his chest this time and he was confused. He then takes off his shirt and stands in front of the mirror so he can inspect it more. He looks at the seal on his chest and it starts to dissipate until it is completely gone. As this happens, Naruto gets full of energy and all of a sudden he sprouts 4 wings from his back. What the hell? I have wings too? This is awesome! But I probably shouldn't show these in public. As he says this, the wings completely retract. It's like they follow my will. I can actually control this. But as he says this, he also starts to think that someone probably sealed his power away for a reason, but now that he has it, he might as well get strong, right? And finally have a chance at life. But then another thought was weighing on his mind. Okay, maybe that seal was meant to suppress these powers, but then what's the one on my stomach for? As he wonders this, we go to Kurama in his cage. So, it finally happened. Let's hope he can control himself. Brace yourself, kid. Your life is about to change quite a bit. Now from this day on, Naruto starts training these strange powers and finds out that they are not only attached to a certain part of his side. He can freely bring out the dark substance from any part of his body just as much as the bright lights, which he now calls arc. He doesn't know why, but he just felt like it was the right name for it. He finds it weird himself, but it just popped in his head one day and he went along with it. And as for his the dark substance that he had, he named it Dark Release. Just simply put, it was dark matter coming out of his body, so he called it what it is. Now ever since then, Naruto has played the part of the weakling. He wanted to keep things on the low for now. He thought it would be better that no one else knew until he was strong enough to defend himself in case anyone ever went after his power. He never challenged Sasuke anymore, but instead trained in secret non-stop. Along the way, he also noticed that his physical strength became insane. Once while training by the foot of a mountain, he practiced some moves and accidentally ended up punching the mountain, so he expected it to hurt like hell, but It didn't, and as a matter of fact, the mountain shook from the force of his punch. After this, he no longer got tired easily, even after training for hours and hours on end never bothered him. And he didn't need to sleep anymore, and since he didn't need to sleep, he would stay up reading for hours and hours. For once, he felt like he got everything. He absorbed information so fast, it was as if he was inscribing it in his brain, and due to this, he got much smarter. And as for his powers, he found out that he could heal animals with arc as well as disintegrate people and objects, meaning he could also heal people, not just animals. He could also shape his arc in any way he wanted, and his dark side gave him instant regeneration. And whenever he would get hurt while training, the substance would just piece his flesh back together and heal him. Naruto, of course, also learned to fly, and it was easy since it felt like second nature, but it was much harder to do so in secret, so he would sometimes sneak out of the village and head to places where no one could see him. Also, as per his request, Hiruzen let him look at the secret scroll. The one jutsu that he was interested in was the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and after seeing how to do the jutsu, he executed it instantly. And Hiruzen didn't expect Naruto to get it all down so fast, so he was shocked. Naruto specifically learned this jutsu so he could use it for a move he thought of. And by this point, Naruto is 13 and it was almost time for the graduation exam, so he woke up full of energy and put on a normal shirt. Just one more day, and I can finally stop acting weak and get out of that stupid academy. Oh wait, I have to wear baggier clothes. Naruto has had to wear baggier clothes to hide his huge increase of muscle because he doesn't want people to even get a hint that he's good at anything. This was also so he could surprise everyone. He then leaves to the academy with his hands in his pocket, and when he enters his classroom like any other day, he finds that there are only a few seats left, so he sits next to Sasuke, who, as usual, is brooding. Naruto then thinks, does this guy ever smile? Jesus. Well, not that I blame him, but still. As he sits by Sasuke, this is when Sakura and Ino race into the classroom and cause a huge ruckus. Naruto sees this and sighs, and as usual, the two girls argue about Sasuke and he gets to sit next to him, and when Sakura wins the argument, she goes to sit by Sasuke, but notices that Naruto has taken her spot. Move out of my seat, stupid Naruto. I want to sit next to Sasuke, says Sakura. Naruto then thinks, is she serious? Yes, screw that. He then speaks out loud. Sorry, you're gonna have to find another seat cause I ain't moving. Hearing this, everyone just looks at Naruto surprised cause he always acted so submissive, and for him to talk back to Sakura of all people like this was suicide cause she was known for her strength. After hearing what Naruto says, Sakura goes to grab him by the hair and throw him away like she had always done, but as soon as she touches his head, she stumbles back in fear and can no longer move. Naruto had learned to release this weird pressure that would immobilize people, and it had his pure rage and intent behind it. All that anger built from just being taunted for years and years gets released on Sakura, and she's shaking. Naruto then stands. Fine, you can sit by your precious Sasuke, if that's what you really want. Sakura then says it's fine while stuttering. She runs to find another seat immediately while avoiding Naruto's gaze, and everyone who witnessed this was left confused. Why did Sakura back off all of a sudden? Sasuke at this point was interested because for a faint second he just sensed a lot of bloodlust. As this happened, Naruto enters the room with Mizuki and tells everyone to stay quiet. Okay, today is the graduation exams. You'll be doing the clone jutsu, and please welcome Mizuki. He will be joining me today. Mizuki then waves and everyone welcomes him. First up, Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone starts to snicker and mumble, saying Naruto was gonna mess up. He then walks down and is told to start. Naruto then looks at his classmates and claps his hands together. They all expect him to fail like usual, however, as he finishes gathering chakra and releases the jutsu, it creates a bunch of clones that fill the room. Seeing this completely shocks everyone. Iruka then says, Naruto Uzumaki passes. When did you? I picked it up a few years ago. Don't tell anyone, whispers Naruto. Mizuki seeing this is just shocked and he thinks, what the hell? Since when? However, Mizuki of course puts on a fake smile and hands Naruto a headband. Naruto thanks him and he goes to sit back down. At this point, everyone is certain that something has changed within Naruto, but they don't know what. And next up was Sasuke, but he could only squeeze out 3 illusionary clones, which is of course nothing compared to Naruto because he actually used shadow clones because he can't do normal clones without messing up. Now soon the graduation ends and everyone passes because they're actually all pretty good except for Naruto, but Naruto isn't weak, so Naruto goes to leave the building and he ties his headband on and walks through the street and just surprises the villagers. They feared the day when the fox would become a shinobi, so to them this was horrible, it was just bad. Naruto then thinks, get mad all you want, but from this day on, things are gonna change. He continues walking until he reaches the Hokage's building and he goes to Hiruzen's office. Hey old man, I came here to get what you promised me. As you can see, I passed. Hiruzen is actually surprised that he actually passed and smiles. You know, normal people, well most people would address me as Lord Fifth. You should do the same. He then throws 2 daggers in a hilt that Naruto can wrap around his waist at him, and Naruto just takes it and goes to leave, but Hiruzen tells him to stop. He then stands up and slowly walks over to Naruto and pats him on his head. Good job, my boy. I'm proud of you. Naruto says nothing as he swipes away Hiruzen's arm, but as he reaches the door, he looks back and says, thanks, Lord Fifth. He then leaves and Hiruzen is smiling in his office, but being Hokage, he of course notices that Naruto has changed, and to him, this change was quite obvious, and he actually knew what happened to him, but we're just going to discuss that later. Now we go to Naruto as he's on a wide field far from the village and he actually pulls out his daggers. He starts doing some combos of fast slashes and throws, but as he throws the dagger he drags them back using his dark release. Think of Kratos from God of War, but way more extreme. Then he jumps up and does a cross slash that turns into an X made from wind pressure. I want to let you guys name that move. He then sheathes his daggers and sprouts his wings. Now he's flying. Alright, let's try this. He does the multi-shadow clone jutsu and positions his clones in a circle. Then they all start gathering a lot of energy, and at this point they're just gathering so much that they're glowing like lanterns or something, or like little fireflies. Then they release all this energy out of their chests and it takes the form of drills that combine into a huge drill that just hits into the ground, thus creating a bottomless pit. A near bottomless, pit, because it's not that strong, but it's strong. Naruto then starts breathing heavily. Good job, guys. The clones then smile as Naruto releases them and he lands back to the ground. Looks like that attack still takes a lot out of me. Well, I'm all set, I guess. I should go home for today. He then starts running back to Konoha and makes it back quite fast. Then he walks through the gates and makes it to the guards and they're really suspicious. Naruto notices their looks of confusion and, suspicion, but doesn't really care and he heads home. Then he takes a shower and lays on his bed. And he says, it's finally time for some payback. I can't wait for tomorrow. Well, I guess I should get some sleep for tonight. Then he dozes off, but tonight was the night when Mizuki would attempt to steal the scroll himself. He tried to find Naruto, but he didn't, so he decided to take things into his own hands. He of course fails, but he leaves behind the upcoming promise of the village's demise. Now the next day comes and Naruto wakes up. He yawns as he scratches his belly and he goes to his dresser and he picks out something a little different that he had been saving for a special occasion. He puts it on and ties his headband around his waist. Well, not his waist, that's where he's putting his daggers and his hilt. Let's say his arm, just because I don't really like it when he ties around his forehead. It just looks really basic. Anyway, he does so and then he looks at himself in the mirror and says, not bad. He then leaves and walks the street of Konoha, surprising everybody. My man looked really different. He was really mature, and most of all, they noticed how strong his body actually was. He looked skinny to them because he wore baggy clothes, but the man is jacked. That's all they gotta say. All those years they thought they could mess with him, they thought they could beat him up or anything, but he let them sometimes, but he never really meant it. Now they feel like if they actually try to, they will set off an angry beast or something. Sorry, a car is passing by. Now finally Naruto had made it to the academy and he opens the door as he then walks up the stairs to find his seat. All his classmates had just noticed that this dude was no longer the same timid Naruto. They even noticed the daggers he was carrying and they were confused because Naruto sucked at taijutsu, so how the hell could he use chakra blades? Yes, they're chakra blades. But also, most importantly, since Naruto was no longer wearing baggy clothes, they noticed all his muscles and the girl started to go a little crazy. Now, as Naruto sat down, Kiba approaches him. Hey Naruto, what's with the getup, man? I didn't know you worked out. You actually don't look pathetic. I dabble, I guess you could say, says Naruto. Dabble, eh? So what now, you think you want to act like a big shot because you grew a little muscle? We both know you suck so much Akamaru could beat you on his own. Akamaru then barks in agreement and everyone laughs at Naruto, but then Naruto stands up and smirks. Kiba, do you know the difference between the weak and the strong? Anyone strong acknowledges their weaknesses, therefore they get even stronger. But not only are you weak, you're stupid as well, meaning that there is no way you will ever beat me. Everyone laughs at this as Naruto has been beaten by almost everyone in the class, but this is when Naruto provokes Kiba to attack him, and of course he takes the bait. He throws a wide punch, thus exposing a lot of his vital points. There are literally so many ways I could kill you right now, thinks Naruto. Naruto then smacks away his hand and taps his nose. Kiba then stumbles back. Huh, you finally know how to dodge, huh? Maybe you did change. This is when everyone gasps. What? Asks Kiba. Tenshin then says, Kiba, your nose. Kiba then touches his nose and realizes that it's oozing blood and he can't stop it. Naruto then roundhouse kicks him in the side and sends him flying and rolling down the stairs at incredible speed until he skips and slams into the board, the front, the board, and thus making him spit out even more blood. Everyone is shocked, and Naruto yells, "From now on I'm done playing with all of you, so bring it. Just know, you'll end up way worse than that idiot." Hearing declarations like this makes those like Sasuke, Lee, and Neji very interested, and those like Sakura shiver. Akamaru then runs down to comfort Kiba, who then looks up and all he feels is fear. This is when Iruka arrives and he's shocked at what he sees. He drops his clipboard and starts checking on Kiba. Which one of you did this? Everyone then points at Naruto, leaving Iruka shocked as well. Tattletales. Yeah, it was me, but he attacked first, so that's on him, says Naruto. He then calmly sits down as Iruka cannot believe that Naruto actually hurt him to this degree. He feels Kiba's like nose bones legitimately are shattered. He quickly picks him up and runs to the nurse as Akamaru falls behind. Now while waiting for Iruka to come back, everyone starts to gossip and talk about how different Naruto looks, and Sasuke starts to think, so Naruto thinks he's strong, huh? That Kiba guy was nothing. What makes him so confident? Now, as people keep gossiping, Iruka runs back in and says that Kiba will be fine, but they have to get on with the test. They have to get on with the, announcing the teams regardless. Then he calls out teams, and Sakura really hopes she's not with Naruto, but with Sasuke instead. But she ends up with both of them, and soon the captains walk in and pick out their students that they needed. Only Team 7 is left to wait for Kakashi Hatake, and unfortunately for them, they had to wait quite a while, and in this time, Sasuke decides to find out more about Naruto. As he tries to go talk to Naruto, Sakura holds him back scared. Please don't talk to him, please. Sasuke scoffs at this and pushes her off him, and then he goes up to Naruto's seat and puts his hands in his pocket. So, how did you do that? Naruto ignores him. What, you think you're better than me or something? Don't you remember how much I used to beat you? You better answer me. Naruto then looks him straight in the eye. Sasuke, go sit down or you'll end up like Kiba. Sasuke gets mad at this and he grabs Naruto by his collar, but this is when Kakashi enters the class. What's going on? Says Kakashi. As he says this, all of a sudden, Naruto is out of Sasuke's grip and in front of Kakashi, and this shocks them all. And Naruto says, nothing much, Emo over there was just trying to assert his dominance or something. Kakashi then thinks, this kid is really Naruto Uzumaki? The weakest in the entire school? He then calmly puts this in the back of his mind and tells them to follow him up to the roof. He then poofs and they do as he says. Team 7 then meets Kakashi at the roof, and there he asks them about their dreams and aspirations. Sakura goes first and basically says nothing about her goals, but instead stares at Sasuke. And after seeing this, Naruto hates that he has to be on a team with someone like her. Then Sasuke goes next and he says that he plans on killing a certain someone, as well as restoring the entire Uchiha clan. Kakashi finds their goals to be quite bad, as looking for revenge is never good, and Sakura doesn't even look like she wants to be a shinobi. But then he looks at Naruto and hopes that he will give him a better answer. So Naruto, your turn. Likes, dislikes, and goals. What are they? Naruto then says, I like training and Ichiraku ramen because the man who makes the ramen is really nice. I dislike people who are arrogant and base their confidence off things like blood and clans. Also, my goal is to leave this godforsaken village, and to do that I have to become stronger. Do you plan on betraying the village, Naruto? Asked Kakashi. Well, what if I was? Responded Naruto. Both Sasuke and Sakura are surprised and quite frankly shocked by this. Kakashi then sighs and he stands up. Okay, to be honest, you're a pretty weird bunch, but that's not a bad thing. Now, since I don't have much time, let's meet tomorrow at the training grounds, and you will test to become true Genin. Also, don't eat breakfast, that's an order. This surprised them as they thought they were already Genin, but before they could ask any follow-up questions, Kakashi poofs. Naruto sighs as he then looks at his team. Well, since we're gonna be a team, I guess we should try to get along, right? Sasuke then says, I guess so, but don't think you will in any way ever compare to an Uchiha just because you're fast. Naruto then says whatever and he jumps off the building and goes to train. Now we're gonna time skip to the next day and Naruto has arrived at the training grounds. Sasuke then looks at him and scoffs, but Naruto doesn't really mind and he goes to sit down by a tree until Kakashi arrives. Now Naruto starts off meditating a bit, but this turns into him sleeping as once again, Kakashi took way longer to get there than they expected. When he arrives finally, a mad Sakura asked him what took him so long. Sorry, but now I'm here, so let's get started. Your test is called the bell test. You have until lunch to take these bells from me, and the person who doesn't get a bell will get tied to that pole while the other two eat. I'm guessing you didn't eat breakfast, right? So that's what you were after, says Sasuke. Naruto then stands up and thinks, joke's on you, I don't really need to eat. This is when Sakura points out that there are only 2 bells and Kakashi says, correct, and what about it? Interesting, thinks Naruto. He then unsheathes his daggers and Kakashi takes out a clock and he sets it down as he, sets a timer. Now begin. As he says this, he takes out a book thinking that from what he's seen, these kids aren't really going to be much of an issue besides Naruto, but even then, he's a Jonin, so he's having a bit of confidence, obviously. He's not being, super arrogant, but it wouldn't be wrong considering, well, they're just kids. As soon as he allows them to begin, Sasuke and Sakura jump into the bushes, and Kakashi likes that they're using what they were taught. And as soon as they do, Naruto starts to stretch. Kakashi looks at him. So you're not gonna do the same thing as your teammates? Naruto answers, nope, I don't need to. As soon as he says this, he appears in front of Kakashi and shocks him. He then smacks the book out of his hand and kicks him in the stomach. Well, goes to kick him in the stomach, but Kakashi manages to dodge, but as he does, he gets blown back by just wind pressure. He then thinks, what the hell is this kid? Naruto then slashes at his feet trying to cut his tendons, but Kakashi just barely dodges and jumps back. This time, however, he does so while pulling up his headband subconsciously, and he uses the Sharingan. But he didn't notice one of Naruto's shadow clones coming up behind him, and he gets slashed across the back. Sasuke and Sakura watch in amazement as they're completely shocked at how good Naruto actually is. However, this is when Kakashi poofs into a log and breaks because of Naruto's shadow clone attack. Naruto then yells, guys, he's in the forest, go after him. When Sasuke hears this, he rushes in the forest with Sakura trying to follow behind, but she can't because Sasuke is too fast. Naruto then catches up to Sasuke instantly and leaves Sakura in the dust as well, and he says, he's behind that tree. Naruto with all his enhanced skills is like a sensory ninja, but he doesn't sense chakra, he just senses stuff like smells and vibrations through the air. And he caught a bit of Kakashi's scent, and he tracked him that way. Sasuke then jumps him and throws a shuriken connected to a thread, but Kakashi notices this and uses his kunai to change the trajectory of the shuriken, and then he jumps up. How did they find me so fast, thinks Kakashi. This is when his Sharingan flashes on its own again, and he just pulls up his headband. but it was too late as something wrapped around him and threw him out of the forest. Naruto uses Dark Release to do this, and he then runs back out with Sasuke accompanying him. But Sakura is kind of lost in the forest as she cannot keep up with her teammates. As for Sasuke and Naruto, they start combining and just like comboing Kakashi with their like attacks in perfect sync without even noticing it. No matter how easy it was to counter Sasuke, it didn't matter because as soon as he attacked, Naruto backed him up. And at this point, he just lifts his headband and reveals a Sharingan to Sasuke as well, and this surprises him. This gave Kakashi a chance to send them flying with a kick. However, this is when Sasuke would be pulled back by a black substance coming out of Naruto's palm. Then he thinks, so that's what it was. He jumps back as Naruto pulls back Sasuke, who is shocked. What is that? Naruto then says, no time to be surprised, use your fireball jutsu. Sasuke listens to him because he has no time to argue and uses his biggest fireball, like the biggest one he can muster without completely depleting his stamina. And as he does this, Naruto rushes in while unsheathing his daggers, and he tells Sasuke to follow. You go up, I go around. Sasuke was confused by this, but he did as he was told, and when Kakashi jumped to the side to avoid the fireball, which was actually quite easy, Naruto intercepted him and cross-slashed him on the chest. And this is when Sasuke, who was in the air, saw his opportunity, and since Naruto controlled his power and timed this attack perfectly, all Sasuke had to do was just drop kick Kakashi in the face, and he landed a perfect hit. As Kakashi cratered into the ground, Naruto snatched the bells and he threw one at Sasuke. Sasuke catches the bell and is shocked by all of this. Not only did Naruto know how Kakashi was gonna react, he set up a perfect chance for him. And the strange thing coming out of his arm is really useful. Naruto then looks at Kakashi. So, did we pass or what? I would, but it seems you forgot to include Sakura, says Kakashi. The two then facepalm, wondering where she was, but this is when she would come out of the woods exhausted. Naruto would throw his bell for her to catch, and she does, but they're all confused why he did this. Why would you do that? Now you have to go back to the academy, says Sasuke. Naruto then says, no I won't, because that's not the point of this test. Kakashi's eyes widen as Naruto approaches him and he kneels down. He touches Kakashi on the forehead and he's enveloped in a bright light. He instantly stands up and sees that all his cuts and bruises are gone. The point of this test is teamwork, right sensei? Kakashi looks at him shocked. Since when did you? Since the beginning. Sasuke then asked, wait, you know? Naruto then cuts him off. It's not ninjutsu, it's a spell. He says this while helping Kakashi, and Kakashi marvels, it's just blown away by the fact that he no longer had cuts or bruises from the battle. Even his Sharingan was working really well now because of the whatever Naruto did. And as Kakashi watches Naruto get asked questions from Sasuke and Sakura about his power, he then remembers something and grabs Naruto by his shoulder. You broke your seal, didn't you? Naruto is shocked at this comment and he turns around filled with bloodlust. How do you know about my seal? And that's where I'm gonna leave it off. Okay, welcome to the end of the video. Before I say anything else, shoutouts to Headhunter's Edits because the intro is still fire. Now, what I wanted to talk about is explain a bit about Naruto's powers in this series. Now, he has both chakra and magic, but because they're two different types of energies, as we find out, well, chakra is something used by the Otsutsuki. It's not something that naturally exists. It's used for, like, fighting to begin with before, Hagoromo tried to make the ninja-kuri, ninshu. But, magic is not exactly the same thing as chakra. So, it's kind of like two energies in his body fighting constantly. So, he won't be good at many jutsu. That's why I give him the Shadow Clone Jutsu, because despite not having great chakra control because he has two energies kind of colliding inside him, the Shadow Clone Jutsu seems to be literally the easiest thing for Naruto to do for some reason. So I'm just gonna give him that because, and it's gonna be really useful. Also, he will learn more spells. They won't just be related to angelic or goddess, whatever. Their clan makes no sense. How can you call yourself the goddess clan? How are you all goddesses when some of you are men? I never got that. Anyway, sorry, I am really really losing it today. So it won't just be abilities from the demon and the goddess clan. He will learn more spells, just to, like, apply to his body. It's gonna be really hard to figure out for me. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And you guys can name those attacks that I wanted to name. Now I'm gonna talk about something else, which is myself, which is I mean, lately it's been getting harder to get content out because I am so freaking tired. But don't think that this is me like being like, oh, give me some pity. I'm just telling you guys that it will be probably harder to post more than when I started. Since we come to this point, there's more demand than I can usually keep up with because I've made so many series at this point and I haven't finished any of them yet. So yeah, that might be a little hard, but don't worry, I will try my best to give you the best content. Also, you might notice this video is a little iffy. That's because, like, just so you know, it's 2 o'clock right now as I am finishing the outro. So yeah, I am very sleep deprived. I can't even say sleep deprived, right? So that might be why it's a little iffy. The editing might be a little messed up. I'll take a look at it tomorrow before I post it, which will be today. But yeah, things are gonna get better. I'm ordering some equipment which will make it easier for me to, like, record through the day because I cannot record through the day because there are some damn birds chirping in my ear. It sounds like the Chidori up in this bitch. I cannot get some quiet. And there's always cars, even at night, at 2 o'clock in the morning for some reason. So it's really annoying. So I have to buy more things to make these videos better, but it will take a little time. So chill out. You will get better sound quality soon. You will get videos more often when I get everything together. But for now, please, stick around and watch these videos. But that doesn't mean I'm, like, saying, oh, you're not getting as many videos, like, once a week. Nah, I'm just telling you now. If I don't post as much as before, I'm sorry, but this is the reason why. If you didn't stick around to hear this explanation, I mean, that's fine, but don't come asking me in the comments why, anything. Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep now because I'm pretty sure even I can't wake up at 7 after this. So I'm gonna go now. Stay safe, have a great day, and don't like pity me. That's a horrible idea. It's just just trust me, I'm fine. For those of you who always worry about my health, I appreciate you for that, but don't worry, I am good. Alright? Have a good day.
Darling, if I had bought you flowers, would you still be here by my side? Yeah, I thought the smoke